direction, haven't we, in many respects, in terms of what we've been seeing more recently with some of the stocks breaking out, oil companies, etc. Those have begun to come down. Technology stocks, in turn, have begun to spike up. I really want to dive into this today because getting above this range, many of these companies are actually breaking above a higher range. We need to be mindful of that because we're seeing a lot of internal strength on these companies as well. So we're definitely going to dive into that today, along with our regular set of discussions. Today, too, just in contrast, I wanted to look also at some of the companies out there that have raised their dividends as of late. On the other spectrum, many of you I do know do look at income investing. I've looked at that previously, and there are some interesting companies that have raised dividends as of late. There are some that are expected to raise dividends. And sometimes that can be a boost for those income stocks as well. Of course, that's kind of on the stock side. We're going to hit the stock side, but the markets and sectors first. Let's get rolling, everybody. Great to have you here. And um, we are joined in the chat by Rachel, I believe. Thank you, Rachel, for jumping on in and helping out. And everybody, hey, yeah, good to see you all. Scott, Olga, Vicky, others, Rojo, David, Lakshmi, Riceberg, Will. On down the line, we've got Robert, Life of the Fast Lane, Honey Greg, and Gary. All right, everybody. Well, let's hit some disclosures to get going here. Okay, material. This material is intended for general and information purposes and educational purposes only. Now, the paper money software application is provided for education purposes only as well. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal, and for some products and strategies, loss of more than your initial investment. Now, futures and futures options trading does involve substantial risk, not suitable for all investors. We read that because we do like to look at the futures charts in here, although we do not trade futures specifically here in this class. So just that distinction. But we do like to reference those because they are tied into other markets as well. So with that, final disclosure slide here to be mindful of these points as we dive on into them. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and share our platform here and take a look at a few different things. Okay, so first off, let's do this. Let's go full screen, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do some big, broad comparisons today for sure. But before we do that, a quick note on market posture. Now, looking at the markets here, quick note. You can see over here, we are clearly above our moving averages here. And one of the key points I just wanted to note that I think we just need to step back and just realize big pictures. We did take out that 7,000. There was not really let me redraw that. There was not really a retest of that level. It was kind of a big number. We'd stopped there plenty of times before. We really didn't come back and retest. A very small dip there, and we're still just kind of on a tear to the upside. Many companies also following along that line, being led to a large degree by the Nasdaq, which has really broken out. Now, it was lagging for a while there, the S&P 500, but you can see technology really kicking in gear. And I think one of the key areas, and we do pull this up from time to time because we can't, well, let me just do RUT first. But what is really powering the S&P 500 higher, the Nasdaq higher? The hint there is that the Nasdaq is heavy tech weighted, right? So if we look at the Nasdaq again, well, let's just go S&P. The reason why I'm saying S&P is because market weighted stated that about 40%, upwards of 40% approximately of the S&P 500 is connected to those seven companies. It's even higher if you include something like you know, uh, Broadcom, for example, but a massive component there. And that's what's really occurring here. Now, remember, a quick note. Let's go over here in our Mag 7. We've just kind of created our own little index just by adding those up, right? Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Tesla, and NVIDIA right there. Now, what are we seeing here? Because it does account for such a huge portion of the potential moves in the market. Look at this. Kind of a little bit of a flag and maybe getting going here. Now, if that was a longer type flag pattern, and believe me, we're getting a push through the S&P 500 to suggest that. Let me just drag my y-axis down a little bit here, but a quick note, if we were just to take a look at these over here off the left-hand side, I'm just going to kind of give just a general idea. We'll just kind of duplicate this again, kind of see where maybe a trajectory could be for a combination of all these companies. They're not all doing great, but many of them are. And you can see we're just outside of the range. And so what's interesting here is this could help to push us higher because there could still be, a push in here. I mean, I'm just talking for the initial leg. That's not to say that we couldn't get a higher move out further because we have, in many cases, if you do get that consolidation period, which it certainly has been. I mean, that's September of last year over here. Kind of a long consolidation. We haven't actually even broken out of this yet, but guess what? We're getting close. So if I draw this line across here, right? Look at that. Oh, straight line as best I can. There we go. So we still have a little bit of room to go, but this could be a longer term move. And so there are just some interesting things to kind of look at here, big picture. Now, you guys, what I wanted to focus in on today, just initially here, is a different aspect of viewing this, um, because we have seen shifts previously, long-term shifts. We'll just go full screen here in the S&P 500. In fact, I'm going to go back. Um, let's just go back to our regular daily, weekly, monthly over here. We'll go S&P 500. One of the great things about the platform is we can go back, way back. In fact, here we go. So here's our weekly chart. But what I'm going to do right now is we kind of explore the potential for this move to be a bigger move into the future, which is, by the way, folks, really important to have that in mind. Is there more juice behind this? Because we're seeing, um, other areas that has shown the strength, like oil and gold and things, and they have really consolidated a little bit longer. And we'll see how that's looking. But I wanted to kind of talk about sort of the big picture productivity here that we'd seen. Here's a max view. And I'm going to go back to a couple of different key points in the past. And I think this is really, really insightful. So if you come over here and you look at this back in 81, 82-ish, right through here, I was just going to say, I think it was sort of towards the beginning of 82, 82. We had sort of a personal computer revolution that occurred over here. And I realize this is a big scale. You can see just the size of the run here. We have a couple of big, big runs that came in. So we had really kind of going mainstream. We had companies like, just put the abbreviations in here, Microsoft, personal computers, right? That same year, I don't know if you guys knew this, the same year of incorporation, we had Apple as well. AAPL. So, incorporated that year and massive increase in just general productivity. Okay. Just across the board. What did we get over here? We got something on the order of maybe like a 4-year run in that productivity time frame. Okay. This is it looks small. It wasn't small. It was big. In fact, I'm going to just what's really killing us is this. But if I did it based upon, look at this. This is going to be interesting too. If I just flipped it to a log scale, so we're just looking at percentage basis wise, or shows a percentage. I'll just use percentage. It should be fine. No, it's not. There we go. We'll log scale it. Now, you see it in comparison. Do you see how big it is? That same productivity range, kind of right through there. Look at that versus the .com. About the same. About the same in terms of looking at it through percentage moves, percentages. It's pretty interesting. Um, all right, so that was a big productivity change right through there. Over here too, we really got the mainstream of well, what it was is the internet right there. 95 mainstream internet. We're looking at big productivity kind of setups, okay, here. The other one was about 4 years. This is closer to maybe 5 years, taking us all the way to the .com bubble time frame. but you guys can see that. And there were, some pullbacks. And by the way, I should have stated this, sorry. The end of this is big to note. Black Monday? Wasn't it Monday? Anyways, that was a massive collapse there that we'd seen over there. And there you have it. Why do I want to say Monday? I think it was, I wasn't really trading at that time, believe me, but that's what the end of this was. Now, this is your big run here. That was the end of the PC kind of rally. This is the end of the dot-com rally, which was pretty strong. I mean, this was really a huge magnitude in terms of price. This was a big magnitude in terms of price, but it really went on for about 3 years. This was a big, deep bear market. You guys remember we had the Y2K deal right over here at the end of it, and that was sort of interesting too. But that's about a 5 year. But these are productivities. So let's shoot on over to the present. We had another, by the way, that's just incredible, the rallies we got over here. But I'm going to zoom in now to kind of highlight another range over here. And if you guys remember this time frame right here, let's just mark this actually in blue. I was just highlighting the red to kind of highlight the downside, but right there in bluish, well in blue, right that low there, that was really kind of the another productivity type thing. And I think it was really tied into there were a few. Actually, Google had DeepMind going on at the same time, but that was kind of held behind the scenes. They were kind of holding it and using it for their own purposes, as you guys recall. So ChatGPT, though, is when I think the very first version came out. Things kind of went, notice what happened? I mean, it was interesting. So all I'm going to do is just do simply this kind of a move over here. I'm going to take this and just look at like historical parallels and just see where we could be now. I've got to really go forward a lot. I'm just going to go 100 bars because we're going over into the future. That should do it, actually, I guess. But if I'm just looking over here and I'm looking for maybe along this line, it's going to be, I'm just using 2022. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put us somewhere over here for year 4. But if there was also like, they're saying that AI is like the biggest productivity. It could be the biggest one. Well, you had some of the people in the industry saying that it could be like the biggest ever, biggest productivity gains ever. But there's 5 over here. And so just as we scale this out in terms of potential for technology to move based on sort of a productivity cycle, well, we could have, that's another, if you really narrow it down, maybe a year and a half plus. 4 year, but here's the 4 year. I wanted to note that because this is 4 year, and that's what's interesting about that is that kind of sets us up right around the October timeframe where we do see some pullbacks. That would be kind of along the lines of like the productivity cycle that we saw with computers, with internet, maybe out of the 5 years, and I think it was actually a little bit more than 5. If you looked at this, the 95, it was actually closer to maybe 5.5 years. So it might actually be closer to 2 years. So you could say a short time frame, October of this year for strength, perhaps, and then all the way out here, maybe as well, another 1, 2 years. If it's going to be similar to those productivity cycles, which I do find interesting because they're both tied into technology productivity, right? Which you normally would find, which has been the case. But I wanted to throw that out there because this could give us kind of a sort of a big picture sort of a shift into what we might be looking at. Because here's the thing, it just comes back to what I was talking about before over here. When we're looking at productivity, and I just sort of mentioned it, it's coming in as, technology and maybe specifically AI. And where have we seen some of those gains at that could be uh, something to look at going forward? Well, we've seen them in something like a MU. It's kind of looking like that time frame. Actually, it's showing those kind of spikes. And so all I'm saying here is not that anybody is dying. And these are just example stocks too. But Microsoft, one of them. But is anybody dying to get in right here? I mean, just dying. Maybe FOMO could be causing that fear of missing out. But a lot of times, you look at these and you say, well, maybe if it does even flag a little bit, it could be a better setup. Also over here, I would have to say, like, say for example, you've got Micron, and then, well, what are some others, within this realm? Well, okay, let's see. Well, Apple would be in there. Intel for sure. Um, I think we got a swing trade thing going on. Yeah, the swing trade here. Uh, I don't know what that is. Maybe not. Yeah, we have something. Prior position we put on just a paper money trade. But here's the thing. Look at this. We're breaking above this high right there. Okay, so I'm just saying that's a longer term breakout of after consolidation. I know with a lot of the stuff we had been talking about, it was, you know, um, you know, a lot of the, well, staples, energy, some of the other areas, but this is really where the strength has been. So there might be a broader shift that a lot of traders and analysts might be looking at down here too. Yeah, you're right, you guys in the chat. A couple of those will pull up too, because absolutely. But look at this. So money flow in line with the trend as well. So buying power coming in. Well, in terms of buying accumulation of shares as opposed to distribution, could be there. We've got SNDK for sure. Yep, Intel. Oh yeah. See, oh gosh, yeah, that's really quite strong. I mean, this is a huge day today. But I do know this from the macro side, there has been a lot of spending going in. Now, does that sound familiar? A lot of spending going in. Go back in the past that we were just talking about with the internet. Remember all the spend cycle there? It was just fueling everything. It was these angel investors that were putting money in. At this point, it's the companies themselves putting money in, and they're more established companies, right? They're not just startup companies. Intel, another one. Incredible move, way past its measured move there in terms of, excuse me, way past its measurement gap. You can see it's like already above that. But shorter term consolidations could be something that traders could look at. Because I have to say that's a really, really big run. Let's see, yeah. WDC would be one, clearly being fueled by this AI push towards memory, storage, and semiconductors, talking about Intel. Here's another one right there, too. Now, here's one we took a look at yesterday in our, because it was coming up. This was in the ThinkScript class. This is GLW. This is interesting too. I just brought this up. I know many of you don't attend that class, and so just a quick, I just want to make sure you got the data though, because back real quick on Intel, NVIDIA, it was right over here. Just getting back to that spend cycle, it was right in here somewhere. I think it was here, that last jump, where NVIDIA invested something like, don't quote me on this, but I think it was 1.5 billion into Intel, and Intel went flat for a while until it didn't, until it broke out. But Corning, GLW, that actually, this gap right there, which is a post-earnings gap, you can see it right there, a gap right there. This is also known as a, gosh, it's really small too, but an island bottom when you have a gap and then maybe a gap up again, which we got there. It's short term, but they invested 3.2 billion, 3.2 billion in the, Corning. I'll just pull this up real quick because I had this here right there. Sorry. So right here under Corning, you can see that yeah, 3.2. Yeah, in Corning with three factories focused on AI production. It was NVIDIA that did that as well. A quick note too, I just threw this in here, kind of tied into our discussion, but this is just on the fact this is just crazy. Some of the stuff you see in there, like the AI can now recreate um, PowerPoint by itself. You don't really need PowerPoint. It just creates, you can design your own PowerPoint. So that's kind of powerful, obviously, but kind of tying into this AI theme a little bit. Now, there is a big 200 number over here, and there could be some consolidation, but I'm just saying Intel, after its gap, it jumped up and consolidated for a little bit. This has been up for a while, but this could be one you could kind of some traders might look at. AMD was on that list as well. Yeah, AMD. Yeah, yeah. See, there you go. If that would be fascinating, if that was like a giant measurement gap over here too, like over here to here, that would be insane. If but there's like your gap, not a measured gap, yeah, up to that level, kind of off the bottom to the top. but there could still be a trajectory. And this one kind of is a little bit of a late starter relative to some of the others, but it did break out over here. Strong day today. Post earnings, had a post earnings gap. So a lot going on here to keep your eyes on. Okay. Yeah, GLW cannot make fiber optics that fast. Okay, interesting. Thanks for that point. Oh, okay, Kelly. There we go. That's awesome. Yeah, there's just a lot of things. So there are several two like companies over here, just like here. We're gonna pull up the chart of oil. We don't know what's happening. It's at a higher level, but it appears and things can change quick over there in the Middle East in terms of what could happen there with the price of oil. But a lot of companies in here had shown that strength. But I mean, we broke some lows right here on some of the bigger players. Exxon, lower high, maybe lower low again. CVX, Chevron, very similar too. I want to see how Fang's doing. But these had been good. We had actually done a paper trade on this in the swing trade class. Oh, BKR, sorry, BKR, and it broke down. There was the swing trade potential right there, and it went absolutely south. So knocked us out of the trade there. But yeah, it looks like, the vast majority right now of the momentum is being driven into those productivity, expanded productivity areas in the terms of AI and technology. And so there could be sort of a path, a longer path there, especially breaking out above a range that maybe many people might want to be keeping an eye on. Things can change though. What do we have? Let's see. Economists predict AI could raise labor productivity growth. Wow. So, I mean, there are massive numbers over there to keep an eye on. So, yeah, just want to throw that out there today in terms of a bigger picture concept to keep an eye on. By the way, there is a survey link in the chat. If you get a chance to fill that out, that'd be fantastic. If you guys are getting value from the presentation, that'd be great. There's just two questions in there, and I do really appreciate any topic requests as well, or any feedback to myself. If you're liking it, not like, things along those lines. I look at those, my manager does as well. And by the way, folks, if you do like the presentation, smash that like button. It lets Rachel and I know that this presentation is of value to you. You're getting value out of it. Be sure to subscribe to our Trader Talk channel. There it is. I said all three of them. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, but you don't smash it if you don't think you're getting value. But that's our goal, to provide value in these discussions. This is very similar to this too. BRKB, Berkshire Hathaway. Think about a basket of of companies that are, you'd think, Warren Buffett's company that's very, very well run, you'd have to say. Kind of consolidating here. Both of those through those productivity times, Berkshire Hathaway did underperform. Now it's been on kind of a decent decline all the way from, 2025, early 25. It's about a year's worth of at least a consolidation. We're kind of at similar lows here. These guys are sitting on, I'm not even kidding you. I think it's three. Yeah, there can be some zeros here. 300 billion in cash. They're not jumping into the AI stuff, but this is what they had been doing. I'm going to flip this back to our regular here, right chart. Okay. But think about that. 300 plus billion in cash. Wow. So interesting. Underperformer though during the dot-com era for sure. I thought it did for a portion of it. Yeah, I think so. Anyways, so that is what we've got on that big scale. What do we have? I want to put a poll out here for this class specifically. So I've been thinking about doing this and I always seem to forget, but let's get this going here. Okay, so I wanted to just ask, and then we'll dive right on into some other aspects of sector analysis here. But wanted to ask, what are your investing interests here? They could be trading interests as well. And it would be, I've got some other areas, like for example, I wanted to say growth. We will add at different areas too, but I always like to keep kind of a segment here that could be helpful to what you guys might be looking at. And if we could get 30 votes, that would be great. That's the minimum of a sample size normally that you like to see. But I'm just going to start that poll right now. I'll give it just a few minutes there, and we'll see what you guys uh, got there. Did that poll come through? I'm not even seeing the bottom of it. Okay. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to scoot on over while we're waiting. And let's take a look at our sector grid here. Just big, big picture. And you can see, yeah. So infotech, technology, you got Google over here in communication services. Very, very similar looking to S&P 500. We mentioned how big even just the Mag 7 alone has to do with the performance of the S&P 500. You've got it right here. Take a look at it. That looks very similar. Do you see any other chart here that looks close? The only other one I'd say, I mean, real estate is kind of flagging. It's been sideways. Not recent strength though. Not like this. So a real explosion here. Now, having said that, what if we did this next? I want to come over here and look at the rotation grid chart for the last 6 months. So this is just potential sector rotation. We're just looking at sector strength relative to the S&P 500. And where have we seen that strength come in over the last 6 months? Well, compared to the S&P 500, right? So a little bit of a equation behind this. It's just relative strength. But look at that. Incredibly strong. Communication services, where might institutional money be going? That's what we can think of when we're looking here. Now compare it to real estate. Okay. Real estate had it over here like for 1 month, like February. But since that time, fairly weak. Healthcare, wow. Think about drug prices. Think of what might be happening to drug prices in general, potentially dipping. Financials, trying to look behind the curtain a little bit where the institutions might be investing. Oh my gosh, utilities, not good. Energy, uh, you could say, could it form a long-term flag? We don't know. Materials, flagging, but in this perspective, yeah, as of late, you kind of get a sense where it's going, and that's just going to be really in those two areas. So all we did here is just confirm it. We knocked out some of the others, but we said, yeah, technology, communication services, which does have Google in there. And I think this could be very helpful now that we've narrowed this down as much as we have, just to go over here and really just scan through it. Uh, Let me take that out. Oh yeah, look at that. Built by Robert Boucher. That was our what was that one? That one was our earnings one, I think, in one of the classes. Anyways, let's come up here to well, no, we're going to stay in the S&P 500 so we can look at that specifically. Great tools here. Just go into industry. And now let's just narrow this down since we think, well, some might think that there could be some strength in this group, right? Maybe a longer path towards movement higher. Those are all the companies that make up technology. Like when we looked over here, technology in the S&P 500, they're all there. This is it. All we did was just we went into this. You got to be in the stock hacker though. That's the key point. Not these other hackers, but the scan tab, stock hacker, S&P 500 intersect with technology or intersect with, go down to the bottom industry, right there. Communication services was the other one. This one's got the Google, virtually as strong as technology. I think they were on par. But now coming in here and just seeing what might be showing us some of that strength. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and just, Lord knows I've got a lot of these though. Save watch list. I've got tons of them, but I'm just going to do this for now. So I'm just going to say S&P 500 technology. And I do like to date it because I like to know when I put it on, I can erase the older ones, make it more current. So we'll just do it exactly what it is, 5826. And then we'll go like this and we'll go like this and click on save. And now we could just easily have access just through clicking through the charts just to see what those look like. And let's just go back to a standard chart over here on our daily, and we'll pull it up now. And I'm simply just going to go into my personal here. I didn't save it as a scan, which would have been kind of interesting because then I could look at it, but that's okay. I'm just going to go into the S&Ps and we're just going to go into, it was S&P up top. There we go. And you can see I've got technology right there, and there it is. Okay. These are all the companies that make up what we had just looked at, that long, extensive list. Okay. I did include over here, which is one thing that you can do. Um, Different sort of indicators, if you want, on the columns up top. I do have different indicators that you can tap into on the ThinkScript class, and many of those you can just get, in the description section if you guys are interested in that. Anyways, I was gonna say like, oh yeah, so we're just looking. If we were to go in here, I was gonna notice, like for example, oh gosh, yeah, that's huge. What? Oh, that's the next change today, 31 up. So more technology movers. There's your AMD. We already looked at that one. FSLR. Okay. Could be a late mover in the group, a laggard. Maybe there are some opportunities here. Maybe not, though. It is post earnings and it seemed to break above its range, the short-term range, that is. JBL. Um, okay, that one as well. NXPI. Wow, that's a massive gap too. Oh, semiconductors, right. So that's one way to do it. This one also had a pretty big move. We'd looked at this in the swing trade class, breaking above a range, and we didn't put the trade on. Wouldn't have been too bad. There was earnings. We were going to wait post earnings, and boy, it just jumped like crazy. So that's a big one that jumped. Dell is up big today. Wow, like a totally different trajectory, right? From its previous moves over here. Kind of like real sort of explosive, at least in the more recent past. FTNT was another big gapper. It's incredible. There's your GLW in that group. We'll see what happens there. You got some others in there. By the way, I'm going to just stop this poll too while we're there. You know what another one too is that came up that's been moving a little bit in that same technology group would be AMZN, Amazon. Now, it did have a big move up for sure, but it's also having a little bit of a flag pattern. If somebody was looking at like a real strong momentum type move, they could look at a move coming up here, like sort of a breakout retest. You guys see what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of these tech stocks are like this. Literally, they're just like this, or even like today, some of them are like that, with the gap ups. But um, that's sort of a flag, a short-term flag. I think we could put just a paper money trade on this one here. Really good strength from your money flow. RSI has been showing some, I mean, it's been holding up above that level. Some would say that's overbought, but on the other side, it's pretty strong in terms of just price movement, actually even holding above that 70 level. So let's just put one on here for sort of a shorter term trade, something I'd normally do maybe in my swing trade class, but something like even like this, you can see the extent of like the last potential swing right there. The 30-minute chart is going to be a lot easier to see here, but why not? We'll put a paper trade in like something like this if it does unfold. It's expensive stocks, so just put a portion in, but here's your 30-minute, and you're going to see it easier. Well, yeah, that's kind of the flag up, and that doesn't look great over here, but you get the idea. All right, that just sort of messed things up. Let's see. Auto there. Okay, so there's your move up. Consolidation. Is it coming above this smaller term range? Well, it could. I just have to throw out more data here for us because it does get tricky when you're looking at a pullback that might be 3 to 4 days. So let's do this. We'll come up here to Amazon. We'll get one of these under our belt, just an example trade. Buy custom order with OCO brackets. Let's go GTC on the uh, exit here. I'm only going to do let's do this. As an example, I'm going to do something like, instead of 100 shares, it's kind of an expensive stock. Everybody has different variables on what you're looking to invest in, but I'm just going to do 25. Well, shoot, I'll just do 50 as an example. You can do whatever, I'm just knocking it down from a full round lot there. I'm going to I'll adjust this on the chart. It's an easy way to do that. Once we get it going here and below this 270 somewhere here. So we'll look at this dialog box, just confirm what we're looking at. We're all good. We'll send that through. Now up top, what I'm going to do is pull. Oh, I got to zoom in now. Even more? No, even way more. Okay, I'm going to pull this up a little bit, separate those, and I'm going to kind of lift this up. to that target, which, and I'll put this one down below the prior low range. I'm not being exact here, you guys. I'm just giving it kind of a general idea of where we're at. And then, oh gosh, there we go. And then what I'll do is I'll pull this up here and I'll go just like that to the top of the flag pattern. Okay. And there you go. So that is that. We got the trade under our belt. I want to look at a few more things though as we get going. A quick note too, though, if you're interested, be sure and check out the classes we do have under Trader Talks. If you guys want to take a look at this under playlists, I'll just scoot this on down here too to the swing trade. We talk a lot about those flag patterns. And by the way, so does Rachel in her price targets, excuse me, price patterns class. And this is a new class. I'd like to note for you guys, new to investing, and that is also a new class. But that is here. Be sure to check that out. Um, yeah. So that was a quick note. That was the price target off of a bull flag discussed in both of the classes that we teach here. Lastly, I did teach, oh, this one here. This one was on a, oh, okay. The ATR. I'm just going to post this in the chat if you guys are interested. This was a way to, we'd looked at that momentum as of yesterday for some of those stronger movers and looking at ATR moves in the other direction. So I'll put it down here in case you guys are interested in that. Did have a couple of scripts in there, bullish and bearish, but it's more finding that momentum that could be useful during a, well, a technology extension or AI productivity sort of boom. We'll see if that does unfold, but there is sort of the play on Amazon there for that. Now, by the way, back to the poll, combination, good to know. So combination of growth and values, number one, but right after that is growth. I think many of you are growth, but some of you are value. And so I wanted to do this too. And I think this could be helpful each week. If we just reserve even just a few minutes here, I know we were out of time, a little bit longer this week, but maybe I'd in future sessions reserve maybe 5 to 10 minutes of companies that are showing growth in terms of just the fundamentals out there that might have, interesting chart patterns associate with it. And then also those that have been raising dividends too, which can be an area that a lot of traders are really focused in on when we're looking at the income side, income-minded investors. And I want to highlight just a few of those for you while we're here, just the last few minutes. I wanted to end on that because there are some of those out there, but like these are some of the companies that just did raise their dividend within the last month or so. Oh, I'm sorry. No, they're going to be raising it. Sorry, I have that list too. But notice over here, sometimes when companies they might raise it every year, once a year. This is a one of the companies like a Dividend Aristocrat that have raised their dividends each and every year consecutively for 25 years at least. And it's a member of the S&P 500. That's the other characteristic. But sometimes over here, now healthcare is not looking great, so I'm going counter to that other area. But this also might be a longer term flag, going counter to the AI theme that we talked about previously. But sometimes when they raise the dividend, it's a sign that the company has internal strength, growth. They have the ability to pay more money out in the dividend. There you go. That is one there that is also flagging. I want to go through a few more that could be setting up here. Potentially, Pepsi is another one. You can see the jump right there from 142 to 148. And also, again, consolidation. Now, if you were to be able to get something at a lower price and receive the dividend, then you might actually be getting a higher dividend yield if you're able to pick it up at a lower price too, if price is consolidated. A quick note too on dividends. Dividends can be cut at any time. Now that I'm going like into dividends, DVN, Devon Energy is another one. I don't know if the chart's going to come up, but we're getting DVN, right? DE? No, that's deer. DVN. Why wasn't it coming? There it goes. Just took a little while. That one too, you can see, oh, just on the edge, 32 cents from 24 cents. So that can be an interesting boost in some of those areas. Did I have any more? Okay, this might be MDT. kind of in healthcare. It's coming up on its annual as well, which is just after. Wow, that's a dip. Dipping, but it's coming up on its annual potential annual dividend increase. These guys haven't announced yet. Want to make that point clear. Also, Clorox. Just park it in the back of your mind. Hasn't been noted yet. I think these guys are dividend aristocrat as well. It would be upcoming. So that could be a potential boost for an income stock. Two more and we're all set. There is Starbucks right there, coming up for its next one. To if it does do, well, hang on a second. That cut right there, forget it. It might not do it. See, that's 56 cents. And then it went down to, oh no, I'm sorry, 62, 62, 61. Ooh, I don't know if that'll do. They've been raising theirs. That might be a little bit further down the line. Last one, MCD. McDonald's. Oh, that one might be out in the future as well. That's a big dip on McDonald's. So, um, concerns though. By the way, you know what else has that dip? That same time that it started to go down, oil started to go up. Consumers, they're stating, have maybe less buying power for McDonald's, I guess is they're saying just on a big, huge scale. And that can be international as well. All right, you guys. Well, we looked at a lot of stuff today. Um, last point is just going to be our market and sector review. Just a couple of key points to note. We're still kind of flat, big picture, but I could say, in terms of advanced decline line on the NYSE and flat on McClellan. But a lot of that is coming into from technology. See the equal weighted. It's not what we're seeing in terms of the technology side, right? Technology side really pushing things up. Where is it weighted for the S&P 500? The big blocks, the Mag Type 7. And then, you've got Broadcom in there as well. Tesla is another one we didn't look at today, though. Tesla, we did do that paper money trade example on Amazon. All right. And then just last but not least, when you're making a new high, you're probably very, very unlikely to get a Hindenburg Omen spike, folks. So we'll leave it at that. This is normally an indication of weakness, but when you get a new high and not trending lower, sometimes you get past that for a bit. So, all right, everybody, hit that like button if you found value here. And again, there is a survey link in the chat. Thank you very much, Rachel, for your help today. And it was great to have all of you here today, folks. I have to say it. Have a fantastic weekend. It is Friday. Happy Friday to you, and looking forward to future discussions. See y'all next time. Bye bye.